every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape. Our top stories tonight. Femi Gbajabiamila has emerged as the sole candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the office of the Speaker at the 8th Assembly. Also in this program, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, others charge Buhari to give priority to security, educational sector. And another fire incident rocks Dimo area of Alimosho local government in Lagos. Property worth millions destroyed. And outside Nigeria, Egypt court overturns Hamas terror blacklist. Thank you for joining us tonight. Femi Gbajabiamila has emerged as the sole candidate of the All Progressive Congress for the office of the Speaker in the 8th House of Assembly after polling 154 votes out of 161 votes cast. He emerged victorious in a primary election conducted by the leadership of the APC in Abuja. The speakership position has two major contenders within the APC, but as per a Samuel report, Yakubu Dogara and his supporters staged a walkout even before voting started. And now earlier, APC spokesman Lai Mohammed has said 173 All Progressive Congress House of Assembly members elect have signed an undertaking to abide by the party's choice as the Speaker of the 8th House of Assembly representatives there. He maintains that the lawmakers are set to vote for the candidate of their choice before the actual voting, which will take place at the complex on Tuesday next week. The aim of the election, according to him, is to present sole candidates for the position of Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives. Away from there now, the government of President Muhammad
Education
Buhari
is no doubt the best.
To give priority to security to save Nigeria's educational sector. Speaking at Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka and other university dons advised the new administration to chart a new approach to tackling insurgency, which they believe will in turn restore the interest for education in the Northeast. This, they say, is pertinent for the new government in fulfilling its electoral promises. A correspondent, Rashid, has more.
Education is no doubt the bedrock of any nation's development. Citing the abduction of the Chibok girls, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka says insecurity is threatening the little left of the Nigerian educational system, warning that with Boko Haram still on rampage, the temple of learning may collapse.
As our self-consciousness, as human beings, as parents, as citizens, I don't know about other people, but that image haunts me even till today, even when I'm not looking at it. When I just recollect those depersonalized children, under a tree perhaps, taken by their captors and broadcast.
For his part, the Chancellor of Kwara State University, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the Buhari administration will have no excuse not to deliver its electoral promises.
Nigeria now has a new opportunity to deepen its democracy and to deliver its dividends, such as quality social services, including especially education and health, prosperity and security of life and property for the people. One thing is clear, however, change must not remain a slogan. The governments that have been elected on the platform of change must prepare themselves to deliver on their campaign promise.
Gambari also urged the federal government to close the gap between the rich and the poor in order to gain the trust of the masses.
The current socio-economic challenges, such as high poverty level, huge youth unemployment, persistent power blackout, despite huge amounts of money invested in that sector, the challenge of insecurity, especially the scourge of Boko Haram, and the perennial disconnect between the citizens and the government that has inevitably led to high level of distrust of the leaders by the rest of the citizens must be tackled headlong.
As President Buhari gets set to constitute his cabinet, it is believed that these issues will take the front burner for the next 4 years. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
And now the All Progressives Congress APC has hailed President Muhammad Buhari for his shuttle diplomacy aimed at forging a stronger regional front against the Boko Haram insurgency, saying the president should be praised rather than ridiculed for his efforts. The party said in a statement issued in Abuja on Saturday by its National Publicity Secretary Lai Mohammed, it says Boko Haram, which started off as a Nigerian problem, has now assumed a regional dimension, affecting many countries in West Africa, adding that any solution to the crisis, if it is to endure, must be regional in nature, with Nigeria taking the lead. The party spokesman posited, since terrorism has assumed a global dimension, no nation, not even the superpower United States, can fight the growing menace alone. The party said President Buhari's trip to Niger and Chad, two of the countries worst hit by the Boko Haram insurgency, shows that he understands the regional dimension that insurgency has assumed, and that for any efforts by Nigeria to yield positive result, it must seek the cooperation of its neighboring countries. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari will be leaving Nigeria on Sunday morning to attend the G7 summit scheduled for Germany from June 7 to 8 of June 2015. In a statement released in Abuja on Saturday, June 6, Garba Shehu, the senior special assistant to the president of media and publicity, said that the invitation was extended to President Buhari by German Chancellor Angela Merkel even before he was sworn in on May 29. He noted that the invitation is a clear indication of the international community's willingness to cooperate with the new Nigerian government. The presidential spokesman, however, added that President Muhammad Buhari will not be participating in the main meeting since Nigeria is not a member of the G7. And now, Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has put a stop to the allocation of fertilizers to the population through traditional rulers and politicians. The governor also directed that fertilizer stocks be sold directly to local farmers from designated sales point. His special assistant on media, Samuel Arowan, said in a statement that the governor issued the directive when he paid an unscheduled visit to the fertilizer warehouse of State Ministry of Agriculture. The governor was quoted as making it clear that his administration will not condone injustice and acts of discrimination against ordinary citizens. He said fertilizer procurement should not be made an ordeal for farmers. And now the ongoing indefinite state and local government workers' strike in Plateau State seems not to have ended, as the labor leaders have vowed to maintain the struggle until the new administration begins a tangible negation that will lead to payment of salaries and wages being owed by the government. The workers had on May 4 embarked on strike to protest the non-payment of salaries and other emoluments of over 8 months.
But he pleaded, we still said he has to make a commitment before we call our members back to work. So he told us that he was going to meet with the head of service and his sponsors. So since then, he has not called us yet. So we are still waiting for his call.
You're still watching the prime time news of CoreTV News. We'll take a break now. We'll be back shortly with more stories. Do join us again.
Women share the most amazing thoughts on national issues, and they do it passionately.
But most men that are educated, that are exposed, will see nothing to it.
The population and the level of poverty made me cry. No infrastructural development whatsoever. And you tell me Lagos is working?
That was an accident. And it was a one-off thing. Other than that, there has never been any situation in Nigeria where a Nigerian attacked anybody just because of where they came from.
Sharing the adorable word of women in politics every week, only on CoreTV News.
If you just joined us, this is CoreTV Primetime News live from our Lagos studio. A quick reminder of our top stories. Femi Gbajabiamila has emerged as the sole candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the office of the Speaker in the 8th Assembly. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, others charge Buhari to give priority to security, educational sector. In another fire, resident Roxy Dimo area of Alimosho local government in Lagos, property worth millions destroyed. All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms. It is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV TV space the news. And now, barely 4 days after the fire disaster involving a few tankers destroyed property worth millions of naira at Iyanekpaja area of Lagos State, another fire incident caused by a fuel tanker has occurred in a Dimo area of Alimosho local government area of Lagos. According to residents of the area, the extent of the damage caused by the incident is colossal, as the fire is said to have started around 12 a.m. Our correspondent Abiola Luwali's report is presented from our studios.
Just few days after a tanker conveying fuel skewed off the road in Iyanekpaja, destroying property worth millions of naira, residents of Idimo in the same Alimosho local government were caught unawares by another fire incident caused by a petrol-laden tanker. 34 houses and 70 shops were razed in the inferno. According to the Director, Lagos State Fire Service, Razak Fadipe, and the Lagos Sector Commander of Federal Road Safety Corps, Ignos Omeje, the incident was caused by recklessness of the tanker driver.
So it is very important the owner of this vehicle should ensure that they engage the service or drivers that can read and understand road signals. How can the driver be on the speed when you are negotiating a bend? Also, drivers that wants to drive at night, that's the law of the state, traffic rules of the state, that, and it's just because to avoid this kind of incident or accident, that's why they said they should be driving at night. Drivers that want to drive at night must ensure that in the morning that he rests, and in the afternoon he rests.
From the information I had, the tanker, there was also another tipper that was involved, but it's like in the context of the road, the tipper was able to maneuver his way, outsmarted him, and then this man has already lost control and crashed here.
I want to advise the public, those who are here, to ensure they maintain the cordon of area, especially for buildings that are burnt, so that we don't have a secondary emergency.
Victims of the inferno decry the lawlessness of the tanker driver. They called on government for assistance to bail them out of the trauma caused by the disaster.
Nobody can say either it's diesel or petrol or kerosene, but when it got out from the trailer, so as we were running down this way, the suya, it got engulfed through the suya cellar there. So almost 80 shops got burnt.
Just around 2 a.m., I was hearing call that my brother's shop is on fire. So I came down. So when I came here was helpless, nobody. So they now, just about a couple of minutes, then the fire service came.
After moving round the affected areas, Governor Akinwumi Ambode promised succor for those affected and directed that relevant agencies work to enumerate victims of the inferno.
I commiserate with all the people here. I'm appealing for them for calm. We've also said we'll do immediate relief, and we should take enumeration and see in what way we can address this issue.
While the emergency workers and residents point accusing fingers at the recklessness of tanker drivers, articulating a reasonable approach in transporting inflammable substances across the country remains an issue begging for urgent intervention by the appropriate authorities.
And now the senator-elect for Lagos West Senatorial District, Solomon Adiola, has extended his commiseration to his constituents on yet another petrol tanker accident at Idimo, where about 40 houses were burnt and property worth millions of naira destroyed. This is the second accident in less than a week following the petrol tanker accident at Yenapaja Bridge axis, where properties and residential buildings were lost to the ensuing inferno. The senator-elect, who is the outgoing representative of Alimosho Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, says the recurrence of these accidents requires government at all levels to take a holistic look at the mode of transportation of highly inflammable material through densely populated areas. He also wants government to consider a compensatory system through insurance when such accidents occurred. The senator-elect, however, noted relevant regulatory agencies need to come up with policies on the control and maintenance of articulated vehicles carrying inflammable materials, especially as the accidents could be traced to lack of maintenance as well as the hours of operation in densely populated areas. As the 7th National Assembly came to an end, members of the House of Representatives have continued to share their experiences in the last 4 years. Some see the entire 4 years spent as worthwhile, while others register their disappointment in some key area of legislation. Outgoing federal lawmakers also spoke on their expectations from the 8th Assembly in relation to speedy passage of bills. Our correspondent, Paris Same, has details.
The 7th Assembly was inaugurated on June 5, 2011, and this hollowed chamber has 360 members representing different federal constituencies across the country. Some outgoing members have spent a minimum of 4 years. But after 4 years, some of these people will cease to be members of the legislature. Many of them are convinced that the 7th National Assembly was a success.
We have amended our laws to say that whatever we finish to do, the incoming house, they do not have to go from, begin again. They can continue.
Actually, what I think we should have done as the 7th Assembly was to ensure that the constitutional amendment that we set out to do, which was, I think, one of the greatest agenda we had, or the greatest bill, the most important thing we should have done as a parliament, and we did not really conclude it.
The long-awaited petroleum industry bill was passed by the House on the last day of the sitting. But since the Senate could not concur, the bill could be said to have not been passed. This lawmaker say she is disappointed with the 7th Assembly for the slow pace in passing bills. Omidiron, however, hoped the incoming lawmakers will fare better.
I am highly disappointed that we were not able to pass the PIB bill, though we tried very, very much. We did what we could, and at the end of the day, we even tried. Up till yesterday, we were still considering the bill, but we had a lot of issues, ethnic, party, religion, and all sorts of mundane things.
Other lawmakers have different views on the performance of the outgoing legislature.
The recurring decimal as far as the legislature is concerned, there were new members, but eventually, people who started out as colleagues become brothers, friends, brothers, and some of the high points were, of course, when we were called back. We broke all protocols and we came back on a Sunday.
I do not think I'm addressing our colleagues. I will only congratulate members of the 7th Assembly for a wonderful job done. thank God for his mercies and thank God for his blessings, and urge us to remain tenacious, because for me, I'm very confident that the task of nation building is a continuous one, and I pray that Almighty God will continue to grant us the enablement to be contributing positively to the growth and development of our nation.
For now, the 7th Assembly has ended, and as the 8th Assembly prepares to resume, Nigerians expect better legislation. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the 5th Ekiti House of Assembly has been inaugurated by Governor Ayo Dele Fauci. This, however, did not come without drama, as the governor, proud to the inauguration, danced round Ado Ekiti in what he tagged victory rally, apparently over his escape from impeachment move constituted against him by the 19 APC lawmakers. The governor and the newly constituted House promised to work for the development of Ekiti. Our correspondent Rashid tells us more.
The inauguration of the 5th Assembly in Ekiti State definitely put paid to the running battle between Ayo Fayose and the 19 APC lawmakers. For Fayose, it's time to be happy for escaping what looked a certain impeachment. In his usual way, the governor held a victory rally around the streets of Ado Ekiti before heading to the House of Assembly complex to inaugurate the 5th Assembly. The inauguration was witnessed by the creme de la creme in the state, with the outgoing 19 APC lawmakers conspicuously absent. Kola Oluwawole of Maba Constituency 1 emerged as the new speaker with other principal officers. The governor in his speech talked about the running battles he had with the outgone legislature, admonishing the newly inaugurated to cooperate with the executive.
I defeated consensus. I won one election. Again, I won in all the courts. The lower court, the appeal, the Supreme Court. Today, I defeated impeachment. Somebody sentenced impeachment to death by the inauguration of this brand new assembly. I want you to be diligent. We must not disappoint the people.
The new speaker, Kola Oluwawole, says he will be loyal to the Ayo Fayose-led government and will work to ensure maximum cooperation from the 5th Assembly.
With the 5th Ekiti Assembly now led grossly by the People's Democratic Party, it is expected that the peace which is being looked for in the political sphere of Ekiti State will now be guaranteed, now that the PDP controls the executive and the legislative arm of the government. What next, as far as Ekiti politics is concerned, will only be as a result of how vibrant the 5th Assembly of the Ekiti State House of Assembly will be. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
And now the Kwara State House of Assembly has put to 77 the number of bills passed within the 4 years of the 7th Assembly. This information was made available at the valedictory service to mark the end of the 7th Assembly in Ilorin. Here again is Rashid's report.
As the 7th Assembly in Kwara State wound up, it was time for stock-taking of activities of the Assembly for the past 4 years. The Speaker, Razak Atunwa, says a total of 77 bills have been passed to the benefits of the people of Kwara State. This, he said, was made possible due to the good relationship which exists between the legislature and the executive.
Despite the fact that this assembly found itself in a period where the nation faced tough challenges due to poor governance, resulting in political instability and economic crisis, we remain focused and committed to giving the best representation to our constituencies.
Other principal officers at the 7th Assembly gave their comments on the composition and workings of the Assembly since 2011.
Let you know that in Kwara State, House of Assembly has always been harmonious. And in the past, Kwara State House of Assembly has always had one element or another of opposition. This is the first time that one party will produce all the candidates.
At any point in time there is a problem, we should always ensure that we sit down together to resolve issues. continue to build on the solid foundation of the COs.
The valedictory session also served as an induction exercise for the honorables elect, as they were advised to emulate the steps of the outgoing ones.
And they keep saying this is a rubber stamp assembly. So these are the workings of the legislature. It is not that until when you see them throwing chairs that they should be given the kudos of working. They had better continue to build on what has been laid. And if they are not ready to do that, they had better leave the building at the level it is, so that those who come after them will come and continue with the building.
Being a deputy chief, there is no time pass, because the people are mature. You can't commit any offense. Dress properly, no way to talk. There is no argument, nothing. I really enjoy it.
As the 8th Assembly is to be inaugurated soon, the executive will surely work with fellow party members at the Hado Chamber, but definitely under a new leadership. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
And now the Imo State Police Command has once again arrested suspected criminals as part of its continued efforts aimed at ridding the state of crimes. A correspondent, Ajibade officer who was at the press briefing addressed by the State Police Command in Owerri, the State Camp 2, has more in this report.
The State Commissioner of Police, Austin Ivaka Vakum, while speaking on the arrested suspect, says the command has introduced new methods of community watch and policing, which has greatly enhanced its rate of arrest and recent success recorded against criminals in the state.
Yes, like I always say, under the Nigerian police have said that modern policing should be community-based. That's what we are doing, and that partnership, complete partnership in policing, is what we have been doing since I came, and it's an easier dividends. So some of the dividends in complete policing is what I want to let you go know.
The Commissioner of Police, while reading out the command strikes against criminals in the state, added that the issue of kidnap of a journalist also got the required attention with her release. He said though her car is yet to be released by her kidnappers, the command will continue to work hard to stop criminality in the state.
So, gentlemen, this has been our scorecard. During the period under review, we are not relenting, and we also want people to partner with us very well. The police and the press, they are partners in progress. So we should work together, give us information, and let the people of Igbo sleep with their eyes closed.
But what really caught the eye is the case of these two young men who said they were compelled to kidnap two children of same parents. Why are you crying? What happened? Why are you crying? Say, what are you saying?
The thing where they make me cry. No wonder they forced me.
Who forced you?
Emeka forced me.
Who be Emeka?
The person who sent us to carry Pikin for her.
To carry Pikin? Yeah. How old Pikin are carry?
Nah, 3, 4 years.
3, 4 years. How many of them are carry?
Yeah.
How many of the Pikin are carry?
Pikin we carry.
He forced you not to go carry him?
He forced me because he gave me machine. And the thing will make me do it. Because I don't have something to eat. I don't have mama, no have. And then you can't force me. And if I give him that machine, I don't have something again to eat.
Because he make you go help and carry Pikin come.
He forced me, he said, I have to know grandma, I give him that machine. And he made them.
So now the two of them are go, you and this person?
Yes.
Where they make her dinner?
I don't know the place.
They were later taken away to appear in court soon after the conclusion of the investigation by the police. Ajibade Awofeso, CoreTV News, Owerri.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take another break. Now be back with sports, entertainment, and stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
As news breaks, people don't let events pass without giving their comment or reactions.
When the problem arises in society, these are the people that will be consulted.
To cleanse the corruption in society, we are not to provide information
for good life and also security of life and property in this country.
The academic society have the loudest voice on this platform.
Whether you call it a sovereign national conference or a national conference, it's about the people of Nigeria.
There should be a change in power.
In any way they can do it.
I think there's a script already.
Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. on this station. From the Ivory Tower, a must-watch for the learning minds.
In sports tonight, Barcelona Football Club of Spain has won the 2015 European Champions League with a 3-1 win against Juventus Football Club. Barcelona Neymar met the third goal at injury time to seal the Spanish club victory after initial 2 goals from Suarez and Ivan Rakitic. The only goal scored by Juventus came from Alvaro Morata. And Togo's striker Emmanuel Adebayo has dismissed reports linking him with a move to Turkey and insists that he is looking forward to spending next season at Tottenham Hotspur. Reports in the Turkish media earlier this week quoted Mehdi Isik, who stated he was the striker's agent and said the 31-year-old was keen on a move to the Super League. Adebayo had been strongly linked with a move away from Spurs, having scored just 2 goals in 17 appearances under manager Mauricio Pochettino in 2014-15. However, the former Arsenal and the Manchester City man used Twitter to reaffirm his commitment to Spurs and dismiss the Turkish report. And our Super Rigu's handler has explained why he exempted the duo from his team to face Les Sao in next week's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier in Kaduna. Nigeria coach Stephen Keshi has cleared the air on why he dropped Chelsea midfielder John Obi Mikel and goalkeeper Austin Ejide from the squad to face Chad in June 13th Africa Cup of Nations qualifier built for Kaduna. The big boss, in a parley with media, said claims that he's having a strained relationship with the former Flying Eagles star is untrue. He insisted that he had talked about his inclusion with him. He said he had decided not to bring Mikel because right now he's not needed for the game. Speaking about Ejide, he noted the team is only playing a game now, which is against Chad, and so bringing in 2 foreign-based goalkeepers is uncalled for, but he will rather give room for 2 local goalkeepers to go with Captain Vincent Enyama. And now Serena Williams will herself to a 20th Grand Slam title on Saturday as she fought off nerves and a valiant opponent in Lucy Safarova, to claim her 3rd French Open crown. Having led by a set and 4-1, 4-0, 15 on her own 7, Williams exploded to lose it on a tie-break, but as she has done so many times in her career, she found something from within, recovering from 2-0 down in the decider to clinch a 6-3, 6-7, 6-2 victory. Williams is now halfway to the calendar year Grand Slam, and after winning here despite struggling with the flu for much of the second week, few would put it past the 33-year-old from Arden, Wimbledon, and the US Open to complete the set. The victory moves Williams to within the 2 wins of Steffi Graf in all-time lists of Grand Slam champions and 4 behind the record holder Margaret Court. But even by her standards, winning not 20 was a struggle. And outside Nigeria now, Egypt's appeal court has overturned a ruling that listed the Palestinian militant group Hamas as a terrorist organization in February. A lower court designated Hamas terrorist organization, accusing it of supporting an insurgency in Egypt's northern Sinai. The verdict came after 2 complaints were reportedly filed against the militant group, implicating it in attacks against the police and army in the peninsula. Militants have killed scores of policemen and soldiers since President Morsi's removal, vowing revenge for government moves against his supporters that have resulted in more than 1,400 people being killed. Egypt has traditionally played a key role in mediating between Israel and Hamas in Gaza and is seen as a key player in any peace or security talks. Hamas dominates Gaza and fought a 50-day war with Israel last year. On a charter, the movement is committed to Israel's destruction. Israel, the United States, and several other nations have designated Hamas a terrorist organization over its long record of attacks and refusal to renounce violence. Hamas, which was founded in 1987, won Palestinian parliament elections in 2006 and reinforced its power in Gaza following year after hosting Fatah rivals. And our United Nations top human rights official says he is deeply concerned that no action has been taken over the allegations that African Union peacekeepers killed 11 people in the Central African Republic last year. The United Nations says the incident took place in a small town north of the capital, Bangui, when 11 people were arrested by peacekeeping troops from the Republic of Congo after an exchange of fire with an armed group. The 11, including 5 women and 1 child, were detained at a Congolese peacekeeping base in March 2014 and were not heard from again. Witnesses at the base reported hearing screaming and gunshots after the detainees were brought there and later saw vehicles travel to a nearby facility. The witnesses say Congolese soldiers declared the facility off limits for weeks afterward, warning there might be landmines in the area. Other sources say they believe the detainees were buried in the area. The agency is sending a team from Geneva to investigate and is urging the African Union, the Republic of Congo, and the government of Central African Republic to carry out their own investigations. And our Chinese authorities say the death toll from the Chinese ferry disaster now stands at 396 as emergency workers search the vessel in the Yangtze River. The tragedy looks set to be China's worst shipping disaster in more than 60 years of communist rule. More than 350 people remain unaccounted for after a cruise ship capsized on China's Yangtze River on Monday, and it is still unclear what caused the tragedy. The boat was carrying 405 passengers, mostly elderly tourists, as well as 5 travel agency employees and 46 crew members. One survivor said the ship capsized incredibly fast, while another said it happened within a minute. The captain Zhang Shuwen and chief engineer Yang Zhengguan were among the survivors. Both reportedly said the vessel was caught in a freak storm and one went down immediately. And in entertainment tonight, a road accident involving the car belonging to Nigerian hip-hop act Owoluye Oluwabukomi Olatunde, also known as Jobless, generated panic, but fans have been assured that the artist is hale and hearty. According to a statement released by Jobless spokesperson, the artist rode in a friend's car, whereas his car was driven by his road manager, Damola Adetuji. The accident happened when the car crashed into a stationary truck laden with granite on Adiola Odeko Street, Victoria Island in Lagos. Jobless, who recently released the track 69 Missed Calls, has expressed gratitude to God for sparing his life and called on fans and well-wishers to pray for Damola's speedy recovery. You have been watching CoreTV Primetime News. Just before we go tonight, a recap of our major headline. We told you that Femi Gbajabiamila has emerged as the sole candidate of the All Progressive Congress for the office of the Speaker in the 8th Assembly. We also reported that Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, others charged Buhari to give priority to security, educational sector. And finally tonight, another fire incident rocks the Dimo area of Alimosho local government in Lagos. Property worth millions destroyed. And that's it tonight on our Primetime News. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Frank Omalape. Have a splendid night rest.